This devotion is based on Psalm 21, and I'm calling it God Brings the Victory. It's a royal psalm. It's the king praying, and it's a psalm where the king is celebrating God's victory. But there's actually three ways we can read this psalm and reflect and pray over this psalm. Number one is the writer, the king, the royal psalm, is he's celebrating victory. He says in verse 1, the king rejoices in your strength, Lord. How great is his joy in the victories you give. He's feeling very buoyant. He's feeling thankful. There's a note of praise and worship to this psalm of being thankful. And this is whole idea with the lament. When you're struggling, articulate it with God, process it. But when things are going well, articulate it, especially and process it with God. So that's the number one way. The number two way is for yourself, that you are celebrating God's victories and how he's been good to you and helped you through struggles. And to express that and to be grateful and to be specific and to process it and articulate it with God and give him praise for how he brings you through, as well as lamenting. But the best and the third interpretation is this psalm reminds me it's a royal psalm because it talks about Jesus the King and how Jesus has experienced through the power of God the ultimate victory over sin and death. You cannot miss that in this psalm, and it's beautiful. Verse 3 talks about a crown of pure gold being put on his head. Verse 5 to 7 says, through the victories you gave, his glory is great. You have bestowed on him splendor and majesty. Surely you have granted him unending blessings and made him glad with the joy of your presence. For the king trusts in the Lord. Through the unfailing love of the Most High, he will not be shaken. This is Jesus, and this is always the center of our faith. Then that last section describes God as a warrior who defeats enemies. He swallows them up, he burns them up. We need to be reminded of that, especially when we're feeling under pressure, that there's this side of God who blows away the enemies, and we need to remember that. And he has proven that through Jesus' death. Through Jesus' death and defeat of sin and death. And the last verse is a verse of worship. Be exalted in your strength, Lord. We will sing and praise your might. So enjoy the psalm. And always, always, always remember Jesus as you read it. God bless.